Welcome back. Relatives of missing pilot Byron Ferguson today headed out on a boat as search efforts stretch into week 2. Along with them, a professional diver out of Abaco. According to Defense Force officials, that diver, who opted to remain nameless, has the capability to plunge into waters at the depths of 400 feet. That's some 200 feet lower than RBDF divers could due to special equipment. Now, when asked when this would be corrected, here's what National Security Minister Marvin Dames told reporters.
You know, our efforts right now, okay, is centered around bringing some closure for the family. That's where our efforts is directed, you know. As I said, there's enough criticism to go around, all right? I am confident that the men and women of law enforcement, and in this case, the men and women of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, you know, are equal to the task, are committed, are hardworking, and are driven. They're you and me. They're our families, okay? And while we criticize them where we need to criticize them, we have to also commend their efforts.
And while the Ferguson family has the assistance of organizations like Head Knowles, Minister Dames stressed that all volunteer divers first register with the Bahamas Air Search and Rescue Association.
The Commodore indicated a few days ago that he will continue to keep in touch with the family, and I'm certain if that comes up, the Commodore will see to it how they can rope everything in. But everything has to be coordinated. It has to be coordinated because one of the things that we don't want is everybody showing up from all sorts, all different places, doing their own separate searches. It has to be coordinated.
As for the timeline of this particular investigation, Aviation Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says these things take time. In the meantime, pilot Ferguson's family has organized a GoFundMe page to assist with search efforts. The money raised will be used to assist with locating the fuselage. The proposed use of the funds, $5,000 for certified deep-sea divers, $10,000 for specialized deep-sea equipment, and another $5,000 for travel and related cost. Ferguson's 6-seater Aztec crashed in waters near Havana Beach on the night of Thursday, November 8th. So far, pieces of the plane have been found along with Ferguson's flight plan. Well, Press Secretary Anthony Newbold revealing limited information when questioned about the government's conflicting views on search efforts in the wake of that crash, save to reiterate the Prime Minister's commitment to conduct a full review of what happened.
We know that there are 2 investigations ongoing now, which you call competent authorities, whether it's local or whether FAA is accessed. Once those reports have been completed, it will be reviewed and recommendations, decisions made as to what happened. There have been lots of talk, as the Prime Minister said 2 days ago, in the public and the media about that plane crash and the way it's been handled. Of course, you know, the Prime Minister has spoken with the family. I have spoken with the family. You know, the person in question, the son of a former colleague of ours, Agnes Ferguson. And so everybody wants the family to have some closure, and the Prime Minister is going to wait for those investigations to be completed. They will be reviewed, and everything that has happened will be addressed.
Again, as the Prime Minister indicated in his statement on the issue, the PS said more will be revealed once the investigation is complete.
It won't serve anybody to continue talking about it until those investigations are done and a review is completed on everything that was done, how it was done, what should have been done, and then the Prime Minister will weigh in about that crash. But he's not minded to add any fuel to the fire.
Meantime, Bahamas Civil Aviation Authority Director General Charles Benaby today told reporters that he's not at liberty to comment on the crash investigation. However, as the Attorney General foreshadowed in the upper chamber last week, Proposed legislation is being prepared for Cabinet in terms of the way civil aviation handles air accidents. Well, no question about it, authorities have been roasted for the way they've handled search efforts for pilot Byron Ferguson and his ill-fated plane, but former pilot Craig Flowers says such criticism was wrong and that Ferguson's family has no right conducting their own search while investigations are ongoing. And this considering, he said, that there is a procedure to be followed.
The defense force would have made a decision stating that there were no sign of life for us to intervene or to assist. The first defenders, it's primarily responsibility to see, was there anybody available in Iraq or anywhere that I can offer assistance to in order to assist them? If the aircraft goes submerged and goes down under the water, the first thing you have to do is to determine, the defense force is to determine whether or not there is anyone here that I can help in the conditions where they made that decision, and they have the authority to make this decision. That's what they do. They are officials to determine at sea what the position is at, and when they make a decision, we have to stand by their decision.
Mr. Flowers went on to chide the public, who he believes has been unfair to the defense force, all due to a lack of information.
The public just needed to be educated. The incident that took place, I'm speaking from the information that I was provided with. You have an unregistered aircraft, which is a U.S. registered, but it's being controlled by the FAA. You also have a pilot with a FAA license, with an American license, U.S. license. This incident that took place in our country should have been defined very quickly by the civil aviation and the authorities here over to the proper authorities. That is the property of the United States. This aircraft and the contents of it is the property of the United States, and the U.S. and the FAA are the ones who are responsible to conduct and to carry out the investigation.
Mr. Flowers' comments came during Love 97's Tuesday edition of its daily talk show, Issues of the Day. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.